Class is over. Now time to go school these weights. Damn straight. So legs I am fucking excited for. It it's kind of, I don't know, egotistical or self-centered as it is. I scrolling on TikTok and I got shown a clip of the last leg day video that I did with Fuad and Ben. That's over on, I think, either the Hostile YouTube channel or, yeah, I think the Hostile YouTube channel. Well, go look. But at the end of it, I'm like laying down on a bench trying to catch my breath. Ben's laying down on the ground. We look like we just got hit by a bus. Oh, it's fucking great. So that's where the bar has been set now. That's the kind of intensity I want to hit with this one. But I think I need to be a little bit more methodical because, in a way, I think what limits me on my leg days is sort of just my, I think I just kind of get gas out first. Like after, I'd say right now, with leg extensions, about maybe 3 or 4 sets of really heavy pressing, and they're good sets, that's about as much as I can muster. Which it's not like I think more volume is better. It's not like it's one-to-one correlated like that. But I think I need to do a little more quad volume because I've been doing some pretty high intensity, lower volume work for quads. You know, like 5-plate squat for like 10 and then doing just the one set and moving on. Or like, this is kind of a light stack on this leg extension, but like single leg extension with the stack. Just launching it up for 15 reps until I can only burn out with a couple of partials. But that's one way to go about it. You know, that's the side of the spectrum of heavyweight, sort of throwing it around. And that's countered by lighter weight, squeezing, slightly higher volume sets, higher rep sets. So, it makes me kind of question my training methods that I've been doing because it's like, what do you think is going to hit your quads harder? A set of like a crazy heavy set of squats, like 5 plates for like 10, then maybe a back off set like 4 plates for 10 because you can't do the 5-plate set again, and then some really hard leg extension sets, or maybe more like 5 or 6 sets of like 3-plate squats, like 3 15-pound squats, maybe closer to 20 reps, but each rep, at least by the end of the set, is just fucking lighting your quads on fire. And then instead of doing really heavy leg extensions, maybe going a bit lighter and seriously squeezing at the top. I think I've got hamstrings down. I think I hit my hamstring pretty well. I do want to do some more RDL work. That is something I want to add in gradually soon. But I think I've just been training in a way that's easy for me. So what I mean is, even though it could be a crazy hard set, it's not, I think it's just easier for me to do, like the stack on leg extensions and then, be burned out at rep number 10 and then only be able to get like 3 more partials just because it ends up being a quicker set. It's over sooner. So, me kind of just questioning how I've been going about it. It's like, would it be better to do more like 25 rep sets where I'm really just fighting against the burn? Like, if you've sat on a leg extension and you've gone as heavy as you could go for, let's say, 10 good reps and maybe 5 partials until you really can't do any more real reps or any noticeable reps, then the kind of fatigue that I'm talking about. Your quads they're kind of sore, they're burning a little bit, but the burning sensation is nowhere near doing like a light set of leg extensions, half the weight, and then at the top of every rep, holding it and squeezing for just an extra second, and then going back down. When I do sets like that, the only thing stopping me is the fact that it just fucking hurts. And in my mind, I'm like, this hurts. And then I, stop the set. So I think I've just been being a baby doing my really heavy set lifts rather than maybe making use of lighter weight. Which I'm not saying is like the going to be better, but it will be different. And as a lifter, that should be your primary driver of determining what changes you should stick with in your training. By doing a variety of different things, right? By hitting everything in different ways and seeing what works best, right? If you throw a handful of shit at the wall, right? A bunch of stuff's going to bounce off, a bunch of stuff isn't going to work. But the shit that sticks, that's the shit where you go, okay, that I got to get a handful of that. If you kind of catch my drift. But no matter what kind of leg day you do, a Tom Platz 10 sets of squats leg day, or a Mike Isertal 3-second eccentric, 2-second concentric, 1-second pause of leg press style set. No matter what kind of workout you do, if you push it hard, then I think you're going to be in the green. I think you're going to be doing at least something productive. Now, really getting into the specifics and doing things that could be more productive, or stopping doing things that could be less productive, that is certainly worth putting energy into, right? That's what I'm talking about right now, kind of trying to adjust my training, get out of old habits that I've been kind of locked into, so I can, potentially get some new vectors of growth. But that's going to mean nothing, right? If you do a half-assed leg day where it's just like 5 sets of squats and 3 sets of leg extensions, a real basic cut and dry, just hitting your quads. If you do that half-assed, or if you do a really fancy specialized lift half-assed, you're going to get shit results in either case. So don't forget, effort comes first. So let's just park this thing and get in there. 7:48 on a Tuesday in a college town. What do you predict? Honestly, I'm getting bad at predicting whether or not it's going to be packed. Usually I've got a good gauge, but maybe I need to go here a few more weeks because we're back from school. So I think I need to go here a little bit more and just get a better idea of the ins and outs and the flows of the populace. But let's get started. All right, less than fortunately, there's 2 leg extensions at this gym and 1 is out of commission. So by the time I get to quads, there may be a short waiting period. Let's just hope there's not, though. But first, hamstrings, full stack, squeeze hard, partials at the end. You get the gist. Okay. A few more. Okay. I think I might make this leg day a bit quad biased. So I think just 2 more of these and then get quad started. One more. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, that stings very nicely. I've been liking some controlled hamstring curl sets as of late. For the most part, I think, well, I go back and forth. Sometimes I like doing a really whippy set. Those sets were on the slower side, at least for me. A good burn at the bottom, and then good stretch on top. But I'm gonna call hamstrings there. I think I want to see what a lighter hamstring day is like, so I'm not as burned out for quads. But let's find a leg extension. All right, I'm gonna try to control my ego, and instead of go for the whole stack, which I think is just probably too much, I'll be a little bit lighter, a little more methodical. Just make these some more cleaner reps. Okay, you know what? That's fucking bullshit. Okay. One more like that. Okay. So those sets serve two functions. For one thing, they're just good working sets for quads. But now my quads are warm. So I'm gonna feel much better knees, hips, everything wise when I go squat. So let's find an open rack. Whew. Oh, God, fuck. Oh my God. Oh shit. I might have had one more. Fuck. Either way, let's drop it to 4 plates and do another one. Holy shit. Oh my God. Phew. Fuck off. Okay, let's move on to something else. I could have done at least one more, maybe two. I kind of pussied out. Still a good set though. Fuck. All right, I know I was hyping up doing a lot more pressing, but you try doing 5 plates for 2 sets. That's fucking hard. So I think I'm just gonna finish off with a couple sets of leg extensions, jump straight into bodyweight sissy squats. So I'll still get that sort of like, you know, pressing load from the sissy squats, but in my mind, I've definitely got the factor of heavy weight down with those squats. So now, after like maybe 3 or 4 sets of these, you know, burn out double leg and then spam sissy squats, my legs are going to be inflated to a very satisfactory degree based on my judgment. So no need for commentary in between. Let's just bust them out. Okay. Instead of double leg, I think. Oh, sorry, doing a little solo chat. But instead of double leg, I think just single leg sets will be good. Because then, well, I don't know. The stack is too light for both legs. So I think a few sets light, well, not light, heavy enough to be good, but just focusing on one at a time, squeezing. I think that might feel better than just, you know, throwing weight around kind of mindlessly in a way. Two more just like that. And a little heavier. Okay. Okay. One more, and then I say we're done. Oh, God. All right. Let's go pose down. Legs. Okay, not my ideal posing spot, but the one I really love is taken. And I'm not going to wait for my pump to dissipate before getting in there, just for, marginally better lighting. And this corner is pretty cool too, but not the best. Either way, let's see how we're looking pantsless. Do I take them? Yeah, fuck it. Let's get these things all the way off. So, I've got conflicting ideas about my leg training. And I think both can be right at the same time. So, I think my best leg days, which today was a pretty good one. Let's just pose down first before we really start discussing anything fancy. But let's see. Oh, yeah, a little bit too veiny, that's for sure. Oh, goodness. You tell me, is that a pair of legs or what? Not bad. But what I'm trying to say, or what I was about to get at, is I want to do very intense, short burst style, heavy sets, like those sets of squats. I mean, 8 to 12 reps. That's usually what I'm aiming for my heavy sets. But most of my craziest leg pumps, or quad pumps at least, don't come from those really heavy squats. Typically the pump itself comes from those lighter weight, squeezing kind of like high rep pump out sets of leg extensions. So I think I'm getting at least somewhere in terms of trying to kind of develop a leg day which I really like. Not that the leg days I've done in the past I haven't liked, but I think, at least for the time being, sort of a start and return at leg extensions. Let me just describe it from the beginning. I think I'm going to try getting at least maybe 2-3 sets of leg extensions first, because that warms up my quads, gets my knees nice and, well, warm and not so tender when I do heavy pressing. Like on those sets of squats, even though I haven't squatted for a while that heavy with a free bar, my knees felt absolutely perfect. And I attribute some of that to not like having insanely tough knees, but to the fact that before I did those heavy pressings, of course, I warmed up with a plate, then 2 plates, then 3 plates, eased into it. But my legs were already a little bit pumped and warm from 2 sets of leg extensions first. So I think I want to do sort of a 3-part section for my leg days, at least quads. Hamstrings, hamstring curls, some RDLs, pretty basic. But yeah, okay. I want to make sure for you it looks like it's reading from left to right. So first section of quads at least, leg extensions. 2-3 sets, heavy, burnout, make them good working sets. And then once I'm warm, I want a good chunk, maybe 2 or 3. Today I only did 2, but I think I want to do a few more sets of pressing of some heavy shit. Squats, I don't really love Smith machine squats. They kind of, something about the control bar path, I don't love it. So squats, there's a leg press over there behind me, which I really like for a single leg press. I think I'm going to do that next time. Or whatever. I think I want to aim for 3 to 4 really hard, heavy sets right in the beginning, the meat and potatoes. And then finish with as many sets of leg extensions, or maybe leg extension supersets like I did today with those leg extensions into sissy squats. As many of those as I need to get fully pumped. And at the end of that, I think I will have stimulated my quads well. So this was not perfect. I want to do a little bit more pressing right in the middle. But other than that, intensity was there, pump is there. Unfortunately, the lighting isn't as freaky as it could be. And in a bulk, when I'm a bit softer and all my cuts and veins aren't so pronounced, lighting can make a big difference. You know, when you see the little before and after pictures, are kind of like the comparison pictures of like me with a pump and perfect lighting versus me no pump and normal lighting. That is very drastic when you're kind of bulked up and you're above like 12-13% body fat. When you're really trim, the lighting doesn't matter so much because you already look like a freak no matter what. But if you're bulking and you're gonna do your pump check, try to find the best lighting you can just so you look the coolest. Because a lot of your little intricate details and whatever, they're gonna get masked by that little layer of fat that you got going on. But don't be dissuaded by that. You have to put some of that onto your frame so that you can build some serious muscle underneath, right? If you're doing a legit bulk and you're not gaining at least a noticeable amount of weight over a reasonable amount of time, like at least a few pounds in a month, or maybe 2 pounds in a month, there's no cut and dry rule for weight gain like that. You just kind of have to look at your own situation. But if your scale has been the same for the last 3 months, kick it into gear, man. You know, I just had the pre-workout meal. Technically, I had it like 2 hours before the lift, because if I had it right before the lift, I'd probably feel like total shit. But it was 4 blueberry muffins, so it was like 1,800 calories, 220 grams of carbs, 80 grams of fat. No protein. I didn't have any steak, but that's what I'm talking about, man. If the scale is not moving, you need to put more fuel in the tank, any means necessary. So that's I think that's all I got. Let's get in the car, go home, eat some more, eat probably a little bit more, and then go to bed. Perfect end to the day of a lifter. All right, legs is done. That was a good double for squats. Not 2 reps, but 2 sets. That was sweet. You know what? I don't know. I'm thinking about like adding like leg press, or, you know, I mean, pretty much just leg press. But I think maybe I should just spam some more squats. That might be the ticket. Keep it simple. Just, you know, leg extensions first, get warm, and then 5 plates. Yeah. Maybe this is going to be a squat era. High volume in the sense of, you know, doing a couple of sets instead of just my one top set and then moving on to something else. I think that might be a good little style change, biasing the squat instead of the leg extension. It's like the leg extension is let's say you're a Michelin star chef. The squat, that's most of the work. That's the steak, that's the potatoes. The leg extension, that's the garnish. It's just that little special something on top. Not that that's, you know, a 1-to-1 comparison, but you know what I'm saying there. So, yeah, I think I got to get nice and comfortable in that squat rack. But it takes a while to recover. Between those sets of leg extensions at the end with the superset in the sissy squats, even though they were good sets and they were like, you know, to failure, right? On those sissy squats, I had to actually kind of pull myself up on that last rep and use my arms to get back to a standing position, because I couldn't do it with just the power of my quads. But even though the sets were to failure, it was only like a minute and a half rest between, because those sets, even though they were hard, they weren't so taxing. But in between that first set to that second set of squats, dude, that must have been like 6 or 7 minutes. Just because it took a while for my heart rate to get back down to, you know, a kind of a normal level. Usually I mean, I just said this, but I'll say it again because it just got brought up naturally. But that's usually my rule when it comes to rest periods. Like, I don't have a timer, I don't have a little stopwatch, But with movements like those squats or anything where I really need to take a breath and like I got to sit there and really take some good ass breaths to get back into, whatever my baseline heart rate is during the workout, probably 100 something in there. Um, but with squats, that takes a while. So between those sets of squats, I mean, that could be 5, 6 minutes. Not necessarily what you typically think of bodybuilding rest times, but all sets aren't going to be like that. With sets of pull downs or pullovers or lateral raises, tricep push downs, stuff like that, where it's kind of a maybe not a smaller muscle, but just sets that aren't so they don't have so much of an oxygen load, if you get what I'm saying. Like doing a set of lateral raises isn't going to put my whole body in oxygen debt to the point where I have to kind of like sit down, bend over, and really catch my breath. So between sets of like that, I can rest a minute. If I'm kind of trying to do some quick sets, I could do maybe 45 seconds if I'm really just trying to get a pump. Like with, well, for me, shoulders, since they're kind of already ahead of the game. But with really good, heavy ass working sets like that, it takes a little while. So don't feel rushed to jump straight into another set after that. Because, I mean, like we all hear, like, oh, for, bodybuilders, you got to only 1 minute of rest, low rest periods, right? Which, it's not like there's nothing to it. But, if I were to try to do another set of squats 1 minute after that one, my cardiovascular system would not have even been close to recovered enough to do a decent set. If I re-rack those 5 plates, waited only 1 minute, and then try to do it again, I mean, it's not like I'm going to get 0, but I think I might just get fucking gassed out at 3. And with the amount of pressure that I get from that sort of squat, because at the bottom of that squat, if you put a blood pressure cuff on me, when I'm standing up before I load the bar, normal. But at the bottom, dude, it's probably fucking, I couldn't even tell you the unit, but enough where I feel like I could fucking pass out. That's what happens whenever you see videos of dudes, they finish a set or like they do a deadlift or a squat, they stand up out of it. And the fact that they're bracing so hard and not breathing as naturally as normal, dude, you just fucking fall straight backwards. Not an ideal situation at all. So not only is it going to give you a better working set, but it's just safer. But I think it just kind of makes sense. Do a set when you feel ready, and then nothing else to it. Look, here is he. Now, there's a deer on the side of the road. I was going to flip the camera to see him, but it's a little bit dark. That's one thing that's kind of cool about my campus. It's just fucking deer running around all over the place. I feel like I'm in the middle of nature, which is it's kind of nice and fun. But unrelated to lifting, of course. So, shit, man, what's the plan now? Go home. Probably, I got 4 8-ounce ribeyes in the fridge. I think cook up one of those at least, maybe 2. I've tried fancy seasonings. I've tried like some, Texas mixes, or just if you ever go to the seasoning aisle, I've tried all sorts of different steak seasonings. Dude, nothing beats salt and pepper. Keep it simple. So I think that'll be the plan, at least for the protein side of the post-workout meal. And then for carbs, dude, I'll have a variety. I got a bunch of orange cream ice cream, which should go down like fucking... I mean, you give me orange sherbet or like an orange ice cream, it may as well just disappear like a magic trick when you put it in a bowl in front of me. So that'll be a pretty solid chunk of carbs and fats. Quick digesting carbs as well, since simple carbs, sugars are going to be in there. Which post-workout, look, if you're a sugar hater, you don't want to fuck with your insulin resistance. I mean, you're not wrong, of course, but if that's you, post-workout and pre-workout, I'm not gonna lie to you, you may feel a little bit of an increase in energy, especially when I diet. Like right now, of course, I'm eating all sorts of crazy calories all the time, so I mean, when I was in class, I stopped at the vending machine. I got like a thing of fruit snacks, a thing of gummy worms, and like a bag of pretzels. Total waste of money. I need to just buy that stuff in bulk instead of getting it at the vending machine. But right there was about 200 grams of carbs from the sugars and the fruit snacks and the candy, and then like 40 from the pretzels. Right. So I'm eating all sorts of. I'm just getting carbs in, no matter the cause, or at any cost. I mean, but whenever I diet down, you got to remember my approach to food gets fucking flipped on its head. It's like work hard to play hard. So when I diet, there's not a ton of treats involved. I'm really not like strict in the sense that I just eat chicken and rice every meal, but you gotta remember if you're counting your calories and you're trying to stay under a specific limit, eating sugars or anything that digests really quickly, it's just not optimal. You know, like if I were to eat 50 grams of carbs worth of like low carb tortillas or like an oatmeal, right? Or anything that's what you would kind of consider a complex carb, anything that's very low on the glycemic index, if you know what I'm talking about there, then I'm actually going to feel full for longer, because I'm not just going to have an immediate spike of blood sugar, which I'm then going to crash from and then feel hungry again later. If I'm dieting, I want to be at kind of a baseline level of fullness so that I don't have the urge to just fucking take down a ton of treats and totally go over my calorie limit. So whenever I diet down, I mean, there's no fucking candy, there's no ice cream, there's no chocolate milk. Well, there's low carb chocolate milk, but that's its own thing. Just because there's no point. But pre-workout, that's when I'll have 50 grams of something, and it could be really kind of whatever. Like pre-workout, if I'm locked in at a calorie deficit of 2,500 calories, then if 200 of those calories comes from a bag of Skittles pre-workout, I swear I'm going to kind of feel that blood sugar spike and use that simple carbs energy in the lift. And that's kind of argued a little bit. Like I hear some dudes talk about how, there's no benefit of intra-workout carbs because it takes too long for you to digest them to actually utilize the energy, which I kind of agree with that point. Intra-workout, I'm not so sure I really feel the carbs, but pre-workout, like even as soon as 30 minutes before I actually start lifting, if I have some simple sugars, then I am really going to feel a little bit of, I mean, I don't want to say a power surge, like I'm eating a fucking setsu bean, but I do feel a bit more energetic. So, in a dieting context, have some treats, man. Don't be afraid of it. So, what else do I even have to discuss? Damn, that guy's rocking the fedora with the man bun. It's a powerful look. I don't know if I would want to pull it off, but I think that's all I got. So, tomorrow is going to be a chest day. Not sure what gym I want to go to. I've got a couple at my disposal. I'm a little bit spoiled right now because I've got, holy shit, there's a ton of cool gyms around me. So the rec center, pretty cool. I mean, it's got a ton of shit in it, so I always have good lifts. The only downside is sometimes it's a little bit busy, but never so busy that I can't get a good lift. And on the plus side, it's like 1 minute away from my apartment, so that's sick. But then, reaching out a couple more mile radius, there's a couple of other hardcore gyms, 24-hour, which I like, but sometimes it kind of fucks with my schedule. Because if I go do a lift at 3 a.m., it'll take me a whole week to get back to a normal sleeping routine. But those, there's like an anytime I like, or actually no, not an anytime I like, but an anytime I could go to since I got an anytime membership. So if you're curious about the reasoning of why I go to so many different gyms, it's just because I like it. What other reason is there? Some gyms have certain pieces of equipment I like. Some gyms have certain just vibes that I like. So if you can swing it, if you can get a couple of different memberships, if you're a serious gym rat, I think you're going to enjoy it. You are going to benefit. And it's cool seeing different people too. You know, it's not like I get tired of the same set of regulars, of course. Like, in terms of the social aspect, the rec center is my fucking favorite because it's got the highest concentration of, my dogs that I'm actually gonna have a good time chatting with. Because I mean, it's not like you can't get a good workout, but it is kind of fun when you go to the gym and you actually know the people lifting around you. Now, some of that is just going to come from the fact that you've got to be a little bit outgoing because I see a lot of people in the gym, even this one, which like is full of the same demographic, right? Just college kids. So I'd say a gym like this is the one where people are going to be the most chatty with each other anyway. But I still see people who just, they're totally in their own lane. They don't talk to anybody really, kind of nervous a little, which, I mean, get a good workout, but it is fun to actually, chat with the dudes around you. So that's just a little bit of insight there. Oh man, I spent a while after that lift just talking. So it's 10:53 now. That workout did not take 3 hours. There was a little bit of a chatting period in the beginning and a very long chatting period at the end. That was more like an hour 45 workout, which even then that got lengthened a little bit just by the fact that I kind of had to wait for a couple pieces of machines, a couple pieces of equipment, but not too long that I actually lost the pump. That's here's another little rule that probably won't hurt you to put in your arsenal, to put in your rule book. If you got to wait more than 5 minutes for a piece of equipment, just do something else. You know, sure, I know you maybe are in kind of a solid routine of like, after incline barbell bench, I want to do the pec deck. I don't want to do it any other way. But let's say you do 3 sets of incline, you're on your way to a pretty solid pump. If you got to sit around for 5 minutes, even, I mean, legs is a little bit different. Like, I don't mind that little 6 minute rest period because I'm actually actively resting. But if you got to sit around mid lift for 5 minutes or longer with no activity, dude, this is your pump meter, right? It starts at full, and every minute that you're sitting there just waiting for a piece of equipment, it's going down. It's decreasing, right? Not good. So, just fucking move on, man. And just having that sort of approach is just going to be easier for you to get good lifts in anyway. Because then instead of having to wait for specific pieces of equipment, sometimes shit's broken. What are you going to do? Cry about it? No, just, do something else. So then not only are you not prone to, you know, getting your workout messed with because, some pieces of equipment just aren't available, but it's also going to add variability to your training. If you do the same chest day, let's say you take two dudes, and one guy for a whole year does the same chest day, incline bench, pec flies, uh, machine press. That's just maybe a couple sets each, of course, not just three, but something like that. You compare him to the guy who does different machines and different movements and different orders for every chest day. Even if they have the same intensity, I am inclined to believe that the guy doing different movements is going to get better results. Maybe not insanely better results, because you're going to build a big chest doing heavy incline bench. You're probably going to build a pretty big chest doing heavy incline machine press. They are hitting your muscle in a very similar way, but to just hit it from just even slightly different angles, I think it's going to give you a more well-rounded result. Not that that's groundbreaking information, but I see it a lot. I see a lot of hovering, which, not that that's the problem itself, but if you're mid-lift, at least for me, I don't want to sit around for too long. Right? Not that I don't like chatting in between, but I've got like 1 minute, usually 1 or 2 minutes, depending on how intense the sets are or how taxing the sets are on my body, where I might walk around, find somebody I know, shoot some shit, point out somebody who's doing a weird movement, kind of chuckle at them a little bit, or just whatever. Right? But after those 2 minutes are up, go back to your fucking workout. So really all I'm trying to say is don't stand around for too long. It will not do you good. Idle hands are the devil's playthings. So, like I was saying, let's just go home, eat. I've got a green machine smoothie sitting in the fridge, which I'll probably have that with the steak. So anybody who loves getting micronutrients from real food sources, I like those little fruit smoothies. You look at the nutrition label, it's full of fucking, iron and this, that, and the other, whatever. I'm still under the impression that as long as you take your multivitamins, you're going to fill out any deficiencies, at least to a satisfactory degree. I'm sure if you got every micronutrient that you need from your diet, from your food sources, look, best case scenario, I agree with you. But I don't think it's that much better, at least not for me. So that's not really a piece of advice. That's just kind of how I approach it. So whatever you do, don't just listen to everything I say and say, Sam said it, it must be true. Right? Come on. You gotta use your head and think, okay, Sam sounds like a fucking chump right now. I'm not gonna listen to that. Or, okay, that sounds pretty cool. Maybe I'll listen to that. That's how you should approach all sorts of media, right? Don't get locked into the hive mind. That is the last thing you want to fucking do. But that's enough of my little post-workout ramble. I've just been driving in fucking circles. Because you gotta remember, from this gym, my drive back to the house is like 30 seconds. So, don't worry, I would never deprive you of a car talk. That's just insanity. So, make sure you do your cardio, make sure you lift hard, balance this shit out with your life. Sure, it may be difficult. Like sometimes, fucking finals week, whatever. At least that's kind of what I can relate to. There's a lot of shit going on, and it gets a little bit tricky to balance, everything and make sure I have time for this stuff. But don't forget that it is well worth it. Delayed gratification is the greatest form. So I'm just pumping out one-liners right now. We're done. I'll see you next time for chest at whatever gym that ends up being.